and today we are going to see the continuation of the lesson 4. So in lesson 4 we have learned the biotic and abiotic components of the ecosystem, and today we will see the interaction between the biotic and abiotic components and the interaction between the biotic components. Okay, so first we will see the interaction between the biotic and abiotic components. Okay, so always there is a relationship between biotic and abiotic components. Okay, so as we know very well, the plants are preparing food for the consumers. Okay, so the plants are preparing food with the help of nutrients. So nutrients are abiotic components which is present in the ecosystem. So the abiotic components are supplying nutrients to the plants to prepare their food, and the consumers are consuming the food. So when these producers and consumers die, they goes back to the soil, and it is decomposed by the decomposers, and the nutrients are released from it. Okay, so always there is a give and take relationship with the abiotic and biotic components. So biotic components are getting nutrients from abiotic factors, and the soil is replenished with nutrients by the biotic components. Next we are going to see the food chain. Food chain is the feeding interaction. Okay, interaction between the organisms. Okay, so animals are eating and being eaten. Producers are preparing food, and the herbivores are eating the plants, and the herbivores are being eaten by the carnivores. So there is always a feeding relationship between the organisms. So that relationship is called food chain. Okay, the ultimate source of energy is sun. The plants are getting energy from the sun to make their food, and they are preparing their food. After the food is prepared, the herbivores are eating the plants. Okay, so the energy is passed to the herbivores, and when these herbivores are eaten by the animals or carnivores, the energy is passed to the carnivores. Okay, and when these carnivores dies, the energy goes back to the soil. Okay, so this is the food chain. So the main features of the food chain is always producers will be in the first trophic level. So trophic level is nothing but the position which an organism takes in food chain. Okay, so always plants will be in the first trophic level as they are preparing their food. Every food chain starts with plants or producers. As they are producing their own food, they are called as producers, and consumers are consuming or eating the food which is prepared by the plant. That is why they are called consumers. So after the food is prepared, herbivores are eating the plant. So herbivores are primary consumers, and these primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers, or that are carnivores. So the carnivores are in the third trophic level. So in a food chain, there are 3 to 5 trophic levels. Okay, each and every food chain contains 3 to 5 trophic levels. Okay, so producers will be in the first trophic level, and the consumers, herbivores, will be in the second trophic levels, and the secondary consumers, carnivores, they are in the third trophic level. Okay, and then there may be a tertiary consumers. Okay, the carnivores which are eating other carnivores are called tertiary consumers. Okay, so they are called as top carnivores, and the food chain may be occur in different ecosystem. So depending on the ecosystem, the food chain is grouped into forest food chain, aquatic food chain, and grassland food chain. Okay, so now we are going to see the food web. Food web is nothing but it contains many interconnected food chains. Food chains cannot be occur in isolation. Okay, for example, one herbivore is eating different types of plants, and also a carnivore is getting its food from different sources. Okay, so it is not necessary that one animal should eat only one kind of food, or one animal can be eaten by only one kind of organism. Okay, one type of plant can be eaten by different herbivores, and the herbivores can be eaten by different carnivores. Next we will see the ecological pyramids. An ecological pyramids is a graphical representation which shows the number of individuals in an ecosystem and then the amount of energy they have accumulated and then the biomass. Okay, so these three things can be represented in this graph. There are three types of ecological pyramids: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass and pyramid of energy. Pyramid of number shows the number of individuals in a food chain. Okay, always the producers are forming the first trophic level of the pyramid, so they are always much in number. And when the second trophic level, the consumers or primary consumers are forming, so herbivores are forming the second trophic level, and then the third trophic level is formed by the carnivores. So when it goes up, the number of individuals are gradually decreased. Okay, so that forms a pyramid like structure. That is why we are calling it as a ecological pyramid. Okay, so next we are going to learn the interaction between the organisms. So always the living things are depending on each other for their survival. For their successful survival, the organisms are depending on each other. So for what purpose they are depending on each other? Maybe different reasons are there. Some animals are depending on others for food, and some organisms are depending on others for energy. Some are depending on others for their protection. Reasons may be different, but always there is a relationship between the organisms. Okay, so first, how the animals are depending on the plants. Okay, so as we know very well, the plants are producing their own food. Okay, so all the animals are depending on plants for their food. So without food, no animal can live. Okay, so for the food, they need to depend on plants. Okay, so in the process of photosynthesis, plants are releasing oxygen and then food. So these both components are very important for the survival of the animals. So animals are depending on plants for the oxygen and for the food. And some animals living in the holes of the tree and on the branches of the trees. Okay, so they are getting the shelters from the plants, and the animals are getting shade from the plants. Okay, so plants are very useful for the animals. Without plants, no animals can be alive because no food is there. Okay, so the photosynthesis is a very important process that every animals need. Okay, so without photosynthesis, there is no food and there is no oxygen. So without food and oxygen, nobody can be alive. Okay, and then plants are also recycling the nutrients. Okay, as I told you, the decomposers, when they decompose the dead animals, they are releasing nutrients into the soil. So these nutrients are not used up by the plants, they will be stay in the soil. Okay, without recycling. So for the recycling of the nutrients, plants are very important. So plants are again using the nutrients which is present in the soil. Plants are also depending on animals for some reasons. Okay, so why the plants are depending on animals? See, we know already, by the process of photosynthesis, they use carbon dioxide from the surrounding. This carbon dioxide is breathed out by the animals. Okay, so when animals are breathing, they are taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is used for the process of photosynthesis by the plants. Okay, so plants depend on animals for the carbon dioxide, and also plants are getting nutrients from the dead bodies of the animals only. And the main thing is pollination and seed dispersal. So without pollination, there is no fertilization. Without fertilization, there is no reproduction. So plants has to reproduce, means they have to transfer the pollen grains first. As we know that plants are fixed in one place, they cannot move here and there. So to transfer the pollen grains from one plant to another plant, plants are depending on animals. For example, insects like honeybee and butterfly, they are sucking nectar from the plants. When they are sucking nectar from the plants, the pollen grains are stick into their legs. And the seed dispersal also. When animals and birds are eating fruits, they throw the seeds here and there. So wherever the seeds are thrown by the animals, there they can grow into a new plant. Plants are also depending on animals for these important reasons. Okay. In addition to this, some other specific interaction between organisms also occur. So they are called interspecific and intraspecific interactions. Okay. So interspecific interaction means it occurs in between the two different types of species, and intraspecific interaction occurs in between the same species. Okay. So here we are going to learn the interspecific relationship or interspecific interaction. Okay. So there are two types of interspecific interactions. One is positive and another one is negative. Okay. In the positive interaction, the both organisms are benefited. Okay. Otherwise, one organism is benefited and another organism is not benefited and not being harmed. Okay. For example, symbiosis, commensalism and scavenging. So in symbiosis, both organisms are benefited. In commensalism, any one of the organism is benefited and the another one is not benefited and not being harmed. Okay. And the scavengers are animals, they are taking which is thrown by the other organism. Okay. So they are clean up, like they are eating the dead bodies of animals. Okay. They are cleaning up the environment as well as they are benefiting from it, but it is not harming to anyone. So these are all positive interactions. But in negative interaction, one organism is benefited and another organism is being harmed. So that is called negative interaction. For example, predation, competition and parasitism. So predation means the animals are killing other animals and getting their food from them. And then competition means the organisms are compete with each other for their food and for their shelter. Okay. It may be from same species or from different species. Okay. And parasitism, we know very well, the parasites are used to live in host body and deriving their food from them. So in these three methods, only one organism of these relationship is benefiting and another organism is being harmed. So we will see it clearly. Okay. So first, symbiosis. So symbiosis is a positive relationship. Okay. Positive interaction. So in these two organisms are living together and it is a long-term relationship. Okay. So they are living together and they are exchanging materials within them to lead their life successfully. For example, fungus and algae. They both are living together and they both are benefit from each other. Okay. So these algae, as we know, algae is a plant. They are preparing their food and these fungi is getting food from algae, and also in turn fungi is giving protection and water nutrients to the algae. Okay. So they both are benefit. One more common example is the relationship between the leguminous plants and the rhizobium bacteria. Okay. These rhizobium bacteria used to live in the root noodles of the leguminous plants. Okay. So these bacteria, they are getting food from the leguminous plants. Okay. In turn, they are converting the nitrogen which is present in the air into nitrate compounds. Okay. So the plants are getting enough nitrogen or enough nutrients to prepare their food or for their survival. Okay. As we know, in atmosphere the amount of nitrogen is abundant. Bacteria, what they are doing, they are converting the nitrogen into nitrate compounds. These nitrate compounds are soluble in water. So these nitrate compounds, when it is dissolved in water, it is absorbed by the plants through the water. Okay. So thus they are living successfully together. So this is symbiosis. So in symbiosis, both organisms are benefit from each other. Okay. And next, parasitism. Parasitism is a negative interaction. It occurs between the two different organisms or two different species. So one organism is used to live on another organism's body and deriving their food from them. Okay. So the smaller organism used to live in the bigger organism's body. Okay. So the smaller one which is living in the bigger organism's body is called parasite. Okay. These parasites are benefited. Okay. And the host which is providing food for this parasite are called host. Okay, so parasites are used to live in the host body, and here the parasites are benefited and hosts are being harmed. And there are two types of parasites, ectoparasites and endoparasites. So ectoparasites or parasites, they are living on the body of the animals. Okay, they are living, sometimes they are living on the fur of the animals, the hair of the animals. Okay, and the endoparasites, they are living inside the host body and deriving their food from them. So the parasites which are living inside the host body is called endoparasite, and outside the host body is called ectoparasite. Okay, for example, ticks, fleas, and some insects or lice and all living on the hair or fur of the human body or animal body, and they are deriving their food from them. They are ectoparasites. And some examples of endoparasites are tapeworm and plasmodium and all endoparasites. They are living inside the host body. Okay, and sucking the digested food from their body. Okay, not only animals are parasites, some plants are also living as a parasite. For example, sandalwood tree, cascata. Okay, all these plants are parasites. Okay, they cannot live their life successfully, or they cannot reproduce without the help of the host plant. Okay, and the next topic is predation. So predation is also a negative interaction. In predation, one animal is killed and being eaten by another organism. Predation consists of two different species of organism. Okay, so here one animal is killing other animal and getting their food from them. So the hunter animal is called the predator, and the animal which is being eaten is called prey. Okay, so mostly the carnivores are eating the herbivores. Okay, so here the herbivores are prey and the carnivores are predators. Okay, the predators are getting benefit and the prey is being harmed. Okay, for example, lion eating herbivore like deer and all.